So our next session is a face-to-face. For this, I would like to invite Mr. Saurabh Doshi, Head of Media Partnerships, Facebook, to talk about social future of video. Let's welcome him, please. Facebook believes that in future, videos will trigger meaningful interactions and bring friends closer together. To moderate this session, we have Ms. Janine Stein, Editorial Director, Content Asia. Let's welcome her, please.
Thanks very much and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I know lunch was really delicious and it must have been really hard to tear yourself away. Saurabh, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
This session could not come at a better time in Facebook's history in India. The change in the algorithm, the change in the way you're operating, in fact, a fundamental change in Facebook's approach to the world and the universe. Sorry, am I holding this too close? Has a lot of meaning for India. Can you tell us about what the implications are for India and how people are going to interact with Facebook because of the change?
Yeah, sure. As the name suggests, it's meaningful social interactions. And it's literally that, so to say. And if I break it up, look, I mean, the genesis is that we started, our DNA is being a social platform. We started with friends and family as the core for the platform. And so we want to retain that DNA, be like a truly social platform. Interactions play a super important role in the way algorithm is defined, right? And so just as a quick kind of recap, at Facebook, we have an algorithm which serves kind of content because there's unlimited amount of content which comes to a user. And what we do is kind of algorithm prioritizes how or what content is to be surfaced. And that has been like the key success kind of formula for the platform. And what we're trying to do is give a little more weightage to interactions happening on the platform. Now, what are interactions? So interactions are anything which is likes, comments, shares on the platform, and likes could include other reactions as well. And so giving little more weightage to that means that there is more kind of active participation by the users on the platform, and then that kind of becomes more meaningful. So that's how we call it meaningful social interaction. And we've heard from people, right? I mean, over a period of time, people have told us that, look, I mean, we come to Facebook to kind of interact with our friends, see what our friends and family are doing. We want to kind of have a more meaningful interaction on the platform, and that's why the change which is rolled out is to give a little more weightage to likes, comments, and shares than other factors.
This obviously, well, Mark has said, in fact, that usage of Facebook will go down. Is this good or bad for Facebook? And is it, in fact, good or bad for marketers and consumers using your platform?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the platform, we don't kind of optimize necessarily for time spent, right? What we want to optimize is really good time spent. Means that when users come on the platform and they spend time on the platform, means there's something valuable which they're providing to us. And unless unless that time spent is good, we won't do justice to the users coming on the platform. And that's why you rightly pointed out that Mark said that with these changes, time spent may go down. We don't know. It's very kind of early days, but I think over a period of time, it may not go down. It will actually be better and go up. But again, the crux of it is that the time spent on the platform needs to be a good time spent rather than just time spent. And I just want to go back a little bit is, our role as a social platform. And this is a question which is a little philosophical, but kind of asked or always kind of discussed in Silicon Valley is to what do you want, as a social platform, what is your role for, in user's life? And so, we could have a user come and have very, very passive consumption, and especially in this world where public content, which is media content and videos are surfacing a lot, there could be a lot of kind of passive viewing of such content. But, and then, there could be things like, memes which are polarizing and, other kind of false news and other kind of content. And what we don't want is the users kind of consuming that kind of content all the time. And what we want is for them to kind of come and have more positive interactions with friends and family. And that's also like playing a big role, as a platform where users are. And in the mobile world, I mean, things can become really kind of lonely. I mean, we see these days friends kind of meet up and everyone is on their mobile phone, and really there's no meaningful interaction happening. And as a platform, what we want to do is play a role where at least have those meaningful interactions with friends on the platform.
In the focus, on this specific focus on meaningful social interaction, does this mean your emphasis on news goes down? Will you carry less news?
So let me clarify. We are not differentiating between any type of content. So let's be like very clear. What we are trying to do is to optimize for more interactions on the platform. And so news and videos both are super critical to our success, and we think that news can be a content type which can drive a lot of interaction. So if there's a breaking news and kind of people come together and chat about it, or even on the video side, sports is like a big use case where people kind of come together and interact. And so any type of public content can become meaningful, and we aren't rolling it back. The point is that friend content obviously takes kind of, it will be important. And so if friends are chatting on a news content, that will travel as well. So we aren't kind of rolling back news, but it's more like the content has to be more interactive and there has to be meaningful engagement with it.
Got it. Talking about video production, video has obviously been emphasized in the social media environment. How do video creators, content creators, brands use video? How does that change? How does the new environment change the way videos are made? And how should people be thinking about producing video for Facebook given the change?
Yeah, I mean, so I spoke a little bit about, passive video consumption, and we kind of strongly believe that we want to have video consumption which is really active and not passive. And so there is a bit of a change which obviously most partners would have to do while kind of doing Facebook videos, is to make it more interactive, more kind of active viewing. We launched Facebook Live like a year back, and what we've seen is that there's 6x more engagement on a live video content than a normal video content. And so there are interesting trends from it, right? I mean, if people are like, if someone, a celebrity is going live and people are kind of commenting and chatting out, and there's 6x more engagement than a normal video, then obviously, we as a platform think that that's a much more better kind of video than a video which is just passive consumption and can become like lonely. And that could also be almost like TV, right? You're just watching and you're not kind of interacting with friends. Again, on the video side, sports videos could be very interesting, where kind of people are coming together and watching it together and kind of talking and commenting. So broadly, I think what creators need to do is make it so that the content is more engaging and the content is more kind of more meaningful, where people are able to kind of, people are interacting with it. That's, I think, the fundamental change, and it's more like a mindset change, but I mean, as a social platform, you do want interactions, right? And it's just not about passive time spent, and that's the change which I think creators need to do.
So that active versus passive, the focus on live, the focus on video, that is going to bring sharing and engagement. That's one of the big two trends that you've identified. The other one was authentic sources. How would a brand create a content you would mark or tag as an authentic source?
Yeah, I mean, look, over the period of last year, we've kind of had numerous things going on the platform and US elections, we've kind of read lots of stories about some of these things. I think for us, it's important to kind of surface content which I would think is not kind of junk and kind of be very conscious of churning out false news and other type of content which polarizes. So, so for us, I think more and more we would kind of, the algorithm would give weightage to content which people are kind of interacting with more and which are from trusted sources. So if you've seen a serial, a video from a creator today and the creators again posting the second season of that or second series of that video, then the algorithm knows that, you know, this is a trusted source where, you know, people are coming again and again to watch kind of watch that from that creator. Similarly, news sources which are again trusted kind of are super important and where people are interacting and all. The biggest, I think, thing here would be that we are taking huge amount of steps to kind of cut clickbaiting, because as we get into meaningful interactions, there could be a very strong trend where creators are kind of doing content in a way where, you know, there is clickbaits, right, to just generate those interactions and to so I mean we are taking a lot of steps to kind of weed that out and kind of train the algorithm to kind of figure clickbaits and other types of content which are junk but are initially driving a little bit of traffic.
Talking about real and relevant traffic, numbers and analytics. How do you support publishers with analytics? Also, again, against the context of the big change.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key priorities is to provide a lot of analytics to partners and creators so that they can adjust to the whole change. What we did last year was there's a company called CrowdTangle, which we just acquired like a few months back, and that was a paid service. We saw a lot of partners using it and finding a lot of value. And so we've kind of now made it free for our partners. And on the video side, we've rolled out a bunch of analytics for partners to kind of keep a tab on some of these things. And so now the partners are able to kind of minute by minute see how the interactions are flowing, what their videos, how their content is doing, what's trending on Facebook, how the competitors are doing, and all that is available on a click of button. So to give more analytics deeper analytics to partners means that there'll be better content creation and there'll be better learning and there'll be more and more kind of deeper understanding of the algorithm and doing content for the user base.
Tomorrow we'll hear from, I'm not necessarily sure if you're on board with the new ACAM. We'll hear from Partha Dasgupta tomorrow on analytics, measurement, transparency. Where do you fit into this whole scheme of the way India's traditional video environment is moving? I mean, do you want to be measured with the TV people, basically?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether necessarily I want to comment on that one. But I mean, broadly, any sort of measurement is obviously good. And if it's third-party measurement, it's even better, so that a lot of brands and partners and creators want measurement to be able to kind of have a better ROI. So I mean, we would be very kind of for it. But on this specific thing, as of now, I don't have much of a comment.
We've all got red and greens. I'm going to move into the red and green question. Get your cards ready. how many of you have tried WhatsApp status and Instagram or Facebook stories? Yes for green. Oh, wow.
That's a lot of green.
It's a really lot of green. It's probably about 97% green. So someone who's I just learned about WhatsApp status stories this afternoon.
She just did her first
I just did
WhatsApp
my
status.
first WhatsApp status. I never knew it existed. So thank you, Saurabh, for that. I think this kind of sharing is very significant. It's obviously live video. Where does this fit into your worldview in India, which is basically the worldview?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, video is a significant trend, which we all have been speaking about, and there's a lot of kind of ecosystem effort which has happened in the last 1 year. I mean, from last year to this year, to this session, there's a whole world which is kind of evolved around the ecosystem, and thanks to the telcos for building those kind of highways which we are kind of now moving fast on. And every one of us are seeing exponential growth in videos. And so videos kind of remain like a strong kind of strong for us. And for us, we need to give more and more tools to create newer types of videos and status, stories. Some of these things are more newer forms of creating authentic videos, because eventually on a social network, what is important, right? It's important to be your true self and to show your true self, and how do you do that, right? And how do you eventually have fun on the platform? And so to give those tools for users to create some of these newer stories, everyone should check out the status update, which she did just a while back.
We have a status update. Please check it out.
It's quite funky, I would think. And I mean it. So, but I mean, yeah, at a click of a button, you know, she could draw and write text and, you know, add some emojis and then post it, which is what we want.
Where's your biggest growth been? Is it Facebook stories? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram stories? What are people in India using most?
I think everything. Stories has done really well. So globally on Instagram, to give you an example, give you some comparisons. On Instagram, there are 800 million people using Instagram every month, and 300 million people, more than 300 million people are doing stories every day. So almost, you know, 40–50% of the user base, monthly user base, is doing stories. And that has been super successful, and we see the same trend in India. On the Facebook side and on WhatsApp in India, we kind of crossed 200 million each, and globally 2 billion on Facebook and 1 billion each on WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. So I mean, however, having said so, I think I personally believe, and whenever I'm asked about numbers, I kind of say we still have 3 billion people to connect. And so we have a lot of work to do, I think.
Do you find a big demographic shift in who uses what? So is it Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and then the layer of stories on top of all of that? Facebook Messenger. Are you seeing young people, old people? Who's using what?
Yeah, I mean, so very broadly, and I'm not kind of zeroing down this to India, because in India anyway, a huge amount of population, internet population, is less than 25 years of age, which we classify as young. Broadly, I mean, Instagram is really being picked up by teens and early youth. Facebook a little more kind of, little more older TG. And WhatsApp is pretty much ubiquitous, because it's not so much on the social side, it's more like a messaging app.
And a pirate content sharing app.
I mean that's one of the problems, right? And we take that very seriously. Obviously, we putting in checks and balances to see how we can weed out. But the problem is that WhatsApp is an end-to-end encrypted service, so not even our servers do not read the content, and so it brings in a lot of challenge. But at the same time, a lot of users want encrypted services, right? I mean, there's this whole debate of centralization of power and decentralization of power with technology. And you know, as kind of as kind of some of these technologies build up, we all thought that it'll be a decentralized world where the power will be with the users. But over the years, you've seen like few global tech companies kind of becoming really big, and there's this whole question mark in Silicon Valley: is the power becoming more centralized to those companies? But then, encryption service is one such area where the power is really decentralized, right? Because the companies do not have any kind of reading into the servers or the content, and so the power again goes to the users. So,
Which is
I mean,
great.
we are very proud of the encryption on WhatsApp, and I think that's the future.
Got it. There's also, if I can just dial back to the new environment for Facebook, organic distribution or organic spread of information is basically going to go down for brands. Do you think people will spend a lot more, or will they find other ways to get their messages out? A lot more. Will marketers have to spend a lot more on Facebook, or will they find other ways to spread the message?
Interestingly, last year, I think there was a similar question around this, and my answer was, which became like the headline, was that content is king, and it will remain. So I think if you do good content, I think there is still a lot of power in organic. I completely am like a strong believer of organic and power of good content, and as long as creators kind of continue to create great content, I think we will see organic travel a lot.
So essentially, it seems to me you're saying if you create better content, it will get spread. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, look, we already spoke about the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
And content which creates meaningful interactions, I think will travel. So there is, I mean, even with all these changes, it's again, it's very simple, right? I mean, we want meaningful interactions on the platform happening, and it's really the content which drives these meaningful interactions. So it's not like there's something else which is driving. It's just that the way this content is done is a little more
So
different.
it's not necessarily terrible news for marketers and brands?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Not at all.
We've got a few minutes left. I want to talk about your video expansion plans for India this year. Do you have any plans to launch Watch or any other product that will drive video take-up?
Yeah, I mean, in the video space, obviously, we want to be like a strong player, and that's why in US last year or 6 months back, we launched the Watch Surface, which is for those, I mean, who've not seen it, it's a surface inside of Facebook. So there's news feed, and then there is the Watch Surface. The Watch Surface is more curated content, or content which is well produced from premium content creators, and not necessarily UGC content. And it's more, it's thematic, it's serialized quite often, and it's like curated in a way where there's a lot of flexibility to kind of watch it over a period of time. It's early days. I mean, we just launched 6 months back in the US. We haven't kind of rolled out globally yet. There's a lot of learnings happening from that. So as we kind of learn and iterate, I mean, I'm sure we'll roll it out globally.
So no time frame for Watch in India?
I mean, right now we don't have any plans to launch Watch in India. And like I said, I mean, it's pretty early days. We've just rolled out in US 4-5 months back. We are learning a lot from it. No plans in the near future. But yeah, I mean, we'll keep everyone posted when.
Come back next year to talk about Facebook Watch.
Hopefully.
We have one last red and green question, which takes us back to a lot of what we've been talking about. Do you all in the audience think the change in Facebook will be good for you as consumers and as companies? Do you think the change at Facebook will be good for you?
As a consumer.
Okay, it looks
I
like
think there's
mostly
more,
green.
There's more green.
More green. There's more green.
I mean, look, I think
not the 98% green, but that's your job to persuade people.
Look, I mean, I personally think that this change is great for me as a consumer. Because when I come to Facebook, I want to see what my friends and family are doing. I want to interact with them, chat with them. I don't want a passive kind of an experience. And as a responsible social platform, even if time spent goes down, we want to kind of we want to give people that experience where they want to come back again and again and have a good life. And this is also linked to a lot of well-being and health and other issues. So I am quite positive about the change.
Well, we like positive because that's basically what's driving this is more positive social interaction. And on that note, Saurabh, thank you very, very much for joining us. And thank you all. Sorry, I'm holding this all wrong. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for such an incredible session. May I request you to be with us just for another few seconds? So while you were doing the conversation, we have a small capture that we'd like to hand over. Thank you so much for joining us here.